Why are guys losing testosterone levels year over year? Let's talk about it. There are a multitude of factors and reasons, self-inflicted and non-self-inflicted. Since the 1980s, males in America, but more often across the globe, have been losing about 1% of their testosterone level each and every year. That's becoming an issue. What should we do about it? Does anyone give a fuck? And what may happen? Well, if shit doesn't start to turn around, it's likely that we're gonna run into a fertility crisis in America, but like I mentioned, across the globe, which is no good for the human population, which is likely to decrease heavily nonetheless in about 40 to 50 years. That's just one of the side effects. How about the side effects of your actual health that each and every man is probably starting to experience, where they're literally becoming more female than male? Nonetheless, why is this going on? Let's get right into that. Firstly, most of it is going to have to do with the changes in our diet, yet the non-changes we've seen in our body. In America, most people eat overly processed foods as the main culprit and the main source of food in their diet, which has very little nutritional value and is really what causes the issues like heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, neurodegenerative diseases as well, not things like red meat and eggs and saturated fat. Either way, because we eat mostly those foods, which, one, aren't adequate for our gut bacteria, which plays massive roles in our hormones. Two, isn't great for your brain because consuming a bunch of omega-6s and omega-9s, as opposed to a balance between omega-3s, 6s, and 9s, is not going to be good for your cognitive function. Combining and accumulating all these things over time, why we're seeing the biggest issue. Food will always play the biggest role in body composition change, whether you're trying to build muscle or you're trying to lose fat. Same goes for your hormones. If you're not optimizing what you're putting in your body, you're not gonna look optimal, or at least not gonna look optimal for a long enough period of time. So processed food is the number one reason. Secondly, high stress lifestyles. You see, the body doesn't really know the differences between stress. If you were to look at someone after they did a workout and measure their CRP levels, which is a measurement of stress, you would think that that person is actively dying, and you would tell that person never to do that again. However, if you have any brain cells, you know that the workout itself is not necessarily what you're after, it's the adaptation that you're trying to receive from said workout, which promote muscle building if you're doing it right, strength gain if you're doing it right, faster metabolism if you're doing it right. Nonetheless though, the body deciphers it as the same. It deciphers you getting into a car accident as the same as you trying to build muscle in the gym. It does not know the difference. So if we overload it with stress from stupid shit like social media or the news or politics or too much exercise or too much of anything, your body is not going to respond in a very favorable way. It's not going to allow you to burn as many calories at rest. It's not going to allow you to build as much muscle, taking away from your ability to promote higher testosterone or balanced hormones, whether you're male or female. Also factor in that high stress usually leads to shit sleep or consuming a lot of alcohol, and you're in a never-ending snowball effect of terrible things that are going to cause issues for your hormones, specifically testosterone. So high stress comes in at number 2. Number 3, and this is kind of a crazy one, but it could go multiple ways, is vitamin D deficiency, or just deficiency in overall nutrients that most people have, once again, due to their diet. However, vitamin D, one thing we get directly from being outside and in the sun, acts in the body more as a hormone regulator. So if you're working indoors, you don't get a lot of sunlight because that is what your lifestyle includes. That's not your fault, but you just have to be wary that you're probably gonna have to supplement, if not really make an emphasis of getting outside in the sun to help you regulate your hormones. Also regulate your circadian rhythm, which they all work together. It's never one thing versus the other. Time and time again have I seen clients come to me with just a vitamin D deficiency, where we supplement with an actual high quality vitamin D, or we include more vitamin D in their diet through whole foods, which is the best way to go about it, and get outside in sunlight when we can. And they see benefits in mood. They notice they get stronger faster. They might be losing weight or just have a faster metabolism so they can eat more while still losing fat. Vitamin D is one of the most underrated and underseen things that really needs to be regulated in most people, and most people tend to be deficient in it, especially if you have darker skin, because it's harder to absorb it from the sun. Next up, the access with social media and porn, and looking at a bunch of naked women, or vice versa, which is less common, but sure, naked guys on your phone or just on the internet overall. It's fucking everywhere. Sex is everywhere. And while it seems good and probably feels good in the moment, it does, it is not good long term, because you are desensitizing yourself, especially as a male, to what real women look like in the real world. You think that you can just go home and sedate yourself, probably with some porn, jack off, and have no consequence. Now, while it might show that there's no real health risk, your focus, your loneliness, your anxieties, or your depression might go through the roof because you're not building any meaningful relationship, whether romantically or with friends, which is a huge fucking issue as Americans and as people who are meant to be extremely social. So if you're just at home taking care of your business all the fucking time and you're not putting yourself out there, you're literally doing something against your biology. We know that when we do something against our biology, usually we have pretty bad effects. So be smart for the guys out there. Use what I'm talking about very sparingly, or don't use it at all. Quit beating your meat 24/7 and realize that there's probably someone out there who will do it better for you. Delete all those Insta models, those fit models on whatever. Quit being a pussy. Get out there and do what you were fucking designed to do. Or keep bitching and nobody's gonna come and help you except yourself. Now lastly, and probably gonna be the most controversial, hormonal birth control and certain movements like the feminist movement, which have made more submissive, less high testosterone men more attractive to the opposite sex. At least in the short term. Like I mentioned, probably going to be controversial, but hear me out. When women start taking hormonal birth control, they start lowering their hormone production, or they take their hormone production out of balance. They look for different aspects in guys that tend to come off a little bit more feminine. I've literally had friends who have taken hormonal birth control, dated their boyfriend, and got off hormonal birth control, no longer like their boyfriend, or they don't find them attractive, or they don't want to put up with their shit anymore. Why? Because they just changed their hormones, which make a big fucking difference. If anyone tries to tell you they don't, they're an idiot. Because we have this movement of just masking everything with pills and this hormonal birth control, we have a bunch of women choosing and mating with these lower testosterone guys, which creates lower testosterone babies, which creates a never-ending cycle of soy boys, which is a fantastic term. That's not to put the blame on them. It's absolutely not. It's more so to put the blame on the people who just prescribe these things and just say, hey, if I pump you full of these hormones, you won't get pregnant. Yeah, sure, that's true, but you're also gonna have a multitude of side effects that we're now starting to realize. Also the fact, most people drink public water. Now, if you don't know how public water works, the water in your toilet gets recycled, filtered with fluoride and a bunch of different, probably harmful shit, and gets recycled and used for drinking water. If a woman is on hormonal birth control and she's starting to pee out the estrogen and it doesn't get fully cycled through, now you're drinking it. What do you think is gonna happen? Not good shit. You might see estrogenic effects even at a younger age. Once again, it's not their fault. We have a shitty design that we just need to become aware of. Combine this with the fact of the feminist movement, which even females are starting to notice is bad now. The fact that every girl wants to be a boss bitch and be a high achiever, going against, once again, their biology. It's not to say some can't. They no longer will date guys who aren't on their level. And if you have a woman who's a fucking master's degree, not many guys are master's degree because we don't get out in person anymore. We judge everyone based on dating apps. If you see a guy who's not a master's, you're not gonna date him. You're not even gonna give him a shot. Which, less mating, less having sex, less reproduction, lower testosterone guys. It's causing a bunch of issues. Those are by far the 5 biggest reasons why we're seeing this big decrease in male testosterone. But what should we do about it? You should be prioritizing strength training and building muscle when it comes to working out. But you need to be prioritizing that. Keep the anabolic process high. 2, you need to be maximizing whole food. You need to be eating things like red meat and eggs, foods high in cholesterol, foods high in fat. Don't skip out on anything. You don't have to be dogmatic when it comes to a diet. Find foods that you can digest regularly that are higher in animal-based products. That is where you find optimality for most humans. Stop using so much social media and using it for softcore porn all the fucking time. Delete those fitness models. Focus on something that is actually meaningful and purposeful, not how attractive is this girl versus the other. Same can be said for porn. 4, be careful with public water. Sounds kind of crazy, but at least try to implement a filter service of your own that you can, that might be able to circulate a little bit more, because I guarantee you there's probably some women in your area that are taking hormonal birth control and it might be getting into your water supply, causing issues with you. And if you are noticing these issues, like low libido, low focus, storing body fat like a woman, wake the fuck up and do something about it. And 5, be sure to get your levels checked through your doctor, through a hormone specialist, whatever the case may be. It's not worth it to not know. If you're noticing symptoms, figure out where you are so you know what a low level and an unoptimal level looks for you. That way, when you get to a place where you're feeling a lot better, you know what your optimal levels are. Not everyone is gonna be the same. Find out where your levels are, make changes based on your symptom. Implement those healthier, more whole food sources. Stop sedating yourself with porn and video games and all this bullshit, and take responsibility and take care of your health. That's the only option you have. Become self-aware. That's how you see results. As always, if you have questions, would like to debate anything, leave it in the comments below. If you have requests, you know where to drop them.